So I got the idea to make a Packer themed cheese head plant pot, and here's one of the plants I'm going to have in the pot. I guess I could have bought a cheese head and carved it out and turned it into a pot holder, but I'm going to design my own and 3D print it. So I came up with some dimensions based on the plant it was going to hold. Notice I did my measurements in millimeters because I'm going to design it online with Tinkercad. So I want to start by making the overall cheese wedge shape. And to do that, I'm going to start with a round roof. I'm going to use the rotation handles to turn it so that it's laying on its semicircle side. And then I'm going to change the dimensions to match what size I want the overall wedge to be. So in my case, I'm going to have a radius of 180 millimeters and a diameter of 360. Don't worry if this doesn't look right. We're going to cut it down to the wedge shape. For my height, I'm going to use about 100 millimeters, which is about 4 inches. So with 3D modeling, you can either add on to shapes or subtract from them. I'm going to use subtraction, so I'm making a very large rectangular prism, which Tinkercad considers a hole, and when I line this one up with the half cylinder, you'll see they'll overlap, and I can use the group button, and the hole will subtract that piece from the overall shape. Now I'm going to do the same thing again because I don't really want a quarter of a cylinder. I want a little less than that. So I'm going to make another rectangular prism, larger than the piece I've got, and then I'm going to line it up as close as I can get it, and then turn it just a little bit, and then line it up, overlap it, reduce the angle of the wedge that I want. When you have it the way you want it, select both the wedge and the hole shape and group them so that that negative space of the hole deletes part of it and makes the wedge shape that you want. Next we need to make another hole shape, and this time it's going to actually be a hole. It's going to be a cylinder, so we can have a place to put the plant. The dimensions I use are 95 millimeters in diameter and 85 millimeters tall. I don't want the hole to go all the way through, and so I need to make sure that I align the hole to the top of the shape, and then also make sure it's centered the way you want it. Choose both the hole and the wedge, and then group them, and then you'll see that the negative space is subtracted from the wedge. Alright, now here's the easy part. So I need to make the decorative cheese holes on the wedge. I'm just going to get a bunch of spheres of varying sizes and shapes, and they're all going to be holes, and then drag them into position on the wedge where I want them to be. When I've put enough of them, I will then choose everything and then group them, and you'll see that those get subtracted from the shape. Alright, so when you're finished decorating it, making it the way you want, there's an export button in Tinkercad. You can download an STL file, and then you can take that to a website like Shapeways or something, and then send that to them and they can print it for you. Or if you have your own 3D printer, you can use a slicing program to convert the STL file into something your 3D printer can understand, and then put it on your 3D printer and print it. In my case, I have a Prusa MK2 3D printer, and I will be printing it myself. I ended up making two versions. The first one I thought was a little large, so I made a second one that was a little bit smaller, and it actually had holes on the underside so that it wouldn't use as much plastic. Here's the first one, and here's also the second one, which was a little bit smaller and used a little less plastic.